Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are feeling well and ready for a little bit of a burner. We're going to be working on variations of Warrior 3, or at least single leg balancing and then sagittal plane work. What does that mean? Don't worry about it. We'll be getting into the glutes quite a bit though, so it will be a strengthening practice. If you have something that can bring the floor up to you, I promise you are going to enjoy having that option today. It could be blocks like I have, it could be books, it could be tin cans, it could be a coffee table even. Um, if you don't have it, oh, or a cardboard box, as I look over and see cardboard boxes. If you don't have anything, obviously don't worry about it. It'll be fine, but it will be easier if you're able to bring the floor up to you. So let's start actually in child's pose today, because that'll help release the glutes a little bit. You might be wondering, why would we release the glutes before we strengthen them? Well, if they start tight, they're not, they'll just get tighter. So we'll start with releasing them, then we'll work them, then we'll release them. All right, so come on into child's pose. Now, if child's pose doesn't work for you, you're welcome to lie down on your back and hug your knees in toward your chest, and that can help release the low back as well as the glutes. Now, when you get into child's pose, maybe you feel like having the knees together today, and that'll release a little bit more into the low back, but you'll feel compression through the belly. Or if you really want to get into the hips a bit more, take your knees wide, toes together, and that'll help release into the hips a little. You still get low back, but you won't get that compression through the belly. Now, if your hips are up quite high, you can always bring a pillow between your bum and your heels. You could also bring a pillow or a block or something underneath your torso if the floor is feeling quite far away. And then start to drape your torso toward the floor. You could also stack your hands underneath your forehead to give yourself a little bit of lift here. Maybe you have the arms outstretched. Maybe it's really active. If you can, try to start in a bit more of a relaxed position. So arms can be outstretched, but let the elbows bend. Some people really like taking the hands in prayer behind the head or the neck. This gets a little bit more into the armpits and triceps. Maybe you chicken wing your arms around your knees and shoulders. Go wherever you need to go. And then for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. A couple more. And with every inhale, imagine your spine lengthening from your tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head. And with each exhale, feel a gentle softening of the front body toward the earth. Inhale to lengthen through the spine. And exhale to soften. Now your body obviously might not get closer to the floor, and that's fine. Maybe after being here for a while, you feel like you need to adjust your position. And feel free to adjust as you need to. Last few breaths here. And know that at any point today, if things get too wobbly or shaky, too fiery or intense, if you're able to draw your focus back to your breath, it can help calm the wobbles and shakes, help dispel the fire and intensity. And slowly start to push yourself up to hands and knees. That was a long time to be in child's pose. So if you want to maybe release the compression on the back, so the legs, step one leg out back behind you, and then the other. And then come to a nice quadruped or hands and knees, tabletop position, whatever you want to call it. Hands nice and wide, outer shoulder width apart or wider, fingers spread wide. Little draw of belly button to spine. Let's move through cat and cow. Inhale, lift the tailbone, broaden through the collarbones. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under, really press your spine up to the sky. Inhale to dip the belly, and exhale to round. So a few more of these on your own time, on your own breath. And you're right, might be really simple spinal flexion and extension. Maybe you slept weird and there's some other part of your back that you would like to get into. So if there's other natural movement that would feel really good, feel free to add on. Move however you need to move today. Last couple breaths here. Okay, slowly come back to center, little draw of belly button to spine. Make sure your hands haven't migrated toward each other. Tuck your toes. On your exhale, lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. A little micro bend in the knees or even a deeper bend here, particularly if this is your first downward facing dog of the day. Go ahead and move, pedal it out. Wag your tail from side to side, right? Really get into the body so that you can ease into this position whenever we need to go here. You could bend deeply into one knee, release the opposite heel to the floor, and then maybe the other way. Maybe lift one hip up to the sky and then the other. And then can you find a couple moments of stillness here? Look at your hands, make sure the fingers are still spread nice and wide. Send your weight more into the finger pads and out of the heels of your hands. One more breath here. And then bend your knees, look forward, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat into your standing forward fold. Here your knees should be slightly, at least micro bent. Right? I can't even demonstrate straight legs or hyperextended legs. Right? It just feels so unnatural for me now. So micro bend or even deep bend in the knees, right? To release the tension out of the low back. Now, the more that you work towards a straighter leg, you'll feel the tension move down the hamstring towards the knees. But you will also start to feel tension in the low back. The more you bend your knees, the more you're going to feel release through the upper hamstrings, but also through the glutes. You might take a little bit more support today, resting your elbows on knees or thighs or hands on blocks. If you want more traction through your spine, you could clasp opposite elbows with hands or even interlace your hands on the back of your head to get more traction through your neck. Last couple breaths here. And then with fingertips to shins or blocks or the earth, inhale, little partway lift, belly button to spine. Back of the neck stays long, so you don't need to look forward here. Keep looking down. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. And then bend your knees. Head heavy, arms heavy. Slowly start to roll up to standing. You're doing a ragdoll motion, slow as you need to go. One vertebra at a time. Till eventually you come all the way up to standing. Couple loops of your shoulders, up, down, and back. A little wiggle, noodle, or release. All right, so let's do a couple sun salutations, nothing too crazy, just to get the blood flowing. Yeah, that's because that'll help. I don't know. My words don't seem to be working very well for me today. Inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Maybe follow with your gaze. Exhale, dive or fold down to the earth, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift, belly button to spine. Exhale, Exhale, fold. Bend your knees. Plant your hands flat. So bend your knees enough that the palms can come flat to the earth. And then on your inhale, step back to plank. So the top of a push-up. You might be up on your toes. You might be down on your knees, wherever you need to be. Couple breaths. Squeeze your bum. Squeeze the tops of the thighs. Draw your lower ribs to the sky. Press the floor away from you with your hands. And then as you exhale, come all the way down to the floor. You can always come down to your knees. First, little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Once you get there, untuck your toes. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, so much so you feel your kneecaps lift away, tailbone to the back wall, belly button to the spine, shoulder blades on your back. Inhale, lift your heart forward and up, baby cobra. Exhale, lower back down. Couple more of these spinal extensions. You could let your hands hover or take them out wider. Maybe you press up a little bit higher. If you're pressing up higher, make sure to keep that squeeze of the bum to protect your lower back. Last breath here. Good. Plant your hands. Tuck your toes on your exhale. Lift up and back into your downward facing dog. Couple breaths. Press the floor away from you. Bend your knees. Look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat. Forward fold. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, right back down to the earth. Forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands. Inhale, hop, step, or float back to plank. Exhale, lower all the way or partway to the earth. Inhale through your back bend. And exhale, downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, this time hands to prayer. Pause here. Eyes open or closed, couple breaths. Gather your breath. Let the heart rate settle a little bit. And then release your hands, shake it out a little bit. All right. I'm going to turn to face you. Let's start to fire up the glutes a little bit, because you can't just bust out Warrior 3 without warming these guys up. Right? They're the main stabilizers. Obviously, your feet, your lower legs, everything else is working really hard, your core, but your glutes, particularly on the supporting leg, are what are going to help you. Okay. So feet hip width apart. On your inhale, sit into chair pose. Hips down and back. Tailbone down slightly to feel your belly button engaged toward your spine. And then keep your chest proud, so we're not rounding through the spine here. Now, if the knees are caving in, can you think of tracking them out a little bit? And as soon as I do that, even if I over-exaggerate it slightly, I feel my glutes fire up. Okay, let's start to shift over to the right. So all the way over to that right leg. Keep chair pose on the supporting leg, knee bent, hip flexed. Come up onto the toes on that left leg. Maybe take a couple taps up and down to find your stability here. And then maybe extend that left leg forward. Come back to center. You can tap down and out to the left and up and back and up. Out to the left again and up. Check this one out. Curtsy to the right, back to center. And then bring that left foot down, pause in the middle, chair pose, knees out, belly button to spine. And now let's go all the way over to that left leg. Again, find that chair pose on the left leg. Maybe take a couple pulses, maybe a couple taps up and down with that right foot, just to find your balance. And extend the right leg forward. And then back to center. Out to the right. And back. And then back. And middle. Out to the right again. Middle. Curtsy to the left. And then middle. Come back to center. Sit, snuggle down a little bit deeper, knees out. And then inhale, come all the way up. Shake it out a little bit. Bring your hands to your hips. Let's do a couple little hip circles. and shake it all out. Okay, coming back to the top edge of your mat. If you've moved, you probably haven't. I have. It's all good. Okay, if you have blocks, make sure they're handy. Inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, melt to the earth, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Okay. Bring your fingertips to the floor if you can to start with. So bend your knees enough that you can do that. And then send your weight over to the right leg. And then back to center. And then over to the left leg. And back to center. Maybe bring your hands to your hips. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. Elbows can go out wide or start to wrap up to the sky. Weight over to the right foot. Come up onto the toes on the left. And then center. Weight over to the left leg. Maybe come up onto the toes on the right. And center. And then come all the way over to the right. Come up onto the toes of the left foot. Maybe you just hover here in this sort of weird position. Maybe you start to reach the left leg back. Now your toes could be on the floor, in which case try to keep your upper body on the same line as the back leg. Maybe you start to pick up that left leg a little bit and then teeter-totter back and teeter-totter up and back. The whole time, can you think of wrapping that right hip, outer right hip back? Keep that little micro bend on the supporting knee. One last teeter-totter. And then bring that left foot back to center. Pause, right? We're sort of in this weird half hinge position. Now come over to the left. Find your toes on the right leg. Maybe you pick them up. Maybe you hold here. Maybe you extend the right leg back. Again, trying to keep that same long line. I can't see, but I'm imagining that my upper body is the same line with my leg. Option to stay here, or maybe a little teeter-totter forward. Wrap the outer left hip back, and then tap back down. And teeter-totter, and tap. Two more. Okay, come back to center, release into your forward fold. Whew. A little sway, bounce, or shake. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. All right, well done. Send your weight over to your right leg again. And then step your left foot back, almost as if we're coming into a high lunge position. Okay, here we go. Now this is where, again, it might be a really fantastic place to have blocks underneath your hands. I'm going to demo with blocks. Wrap the outer right hip forward, belly button to spine. Find length through the spine if you can, and then start to shunt your weight into that right foot. Now, I feel like my torso is not parallel with the floor, so I'm going to try and lift it up parallel with the floor. I'm going to reach my leg further back. Doesn't matter if you want the support of the blocks, don't worry about the torso so much. Can you flare the toes on the lifted foot so your brain can find it in space? Reach that lifted heel further back. Keep wrapping that outer right hip back. And then step the left foot down and center. Shake it out a little bit. Let's do that on the opposite side. Step the right leg back. And sort of like a mock runner's lunge, I guess. Wrap the outer left hip back, belly button to spine. Maybe your hands are on blocks or fingertips or a sofa or even the back of a chair. And then start to shift your weight forward as you let the right leg float. Now I say float, but it's wicked active. The more that that lifted leg works, the less this supporting leg has to do, right, or has to compensate. So squeeze the top of the thigh on that lifted leg, flex the toes towards the floor, wrap the outer left hip back. Maybe you float hands off. You don't have to. And then gently step down. Release, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. Shake it out a little bit. Feeling those glutes fire up. All right, so the trick, the play that we're doing is coming in and out of Warrior 3 in different ways, right? Whereas normally we just kind of float. So that's why maybe I don't know, for me, it feels a bit more challenging. Maybe for you, it does as well. Okay, send all your weight to your right leg. A little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Pick up the left leg. And then take a few easy bounces here. Right, just kind of releasing. Kick the heels of the bum, lean forward. Keep the pulses going. Okay, now slow it down and pause. Keep that left leg, knee bent, ankle flexed. And then bring your arms to cactus. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. So we're in a bit of a hip hinge here. Wrap the outer right hip back, bend the knee a little bit. Option to stay here in this sort of scarecrow version of Warrior 3. Or inhale here, exhale, little twist of the torso to the right. Keep the elbows high. Inhale back to center. Exhale, twist to the left and center. Once more each side. Right. Woo. And center. Left and center. And then inhale, come all the way up. Draw that lifted knee all the way high and step it down. Shake out the legs a little bit. Couple little hip circles or release the glutes. Let's do that on the opposite side. So weight over to the left foot, belly bend to spine, pick up the right leg and get those easy pulses going. Kick the heel of the bum, lean forward, keep the pulses going. Okay, now slow it down. Keep the bottom knee bent, lifted leg bent. Bring your arms to cactus. Wrap the shoulder blades, the elbows toward each other. Option to stay here, fighting for the balance, or inhale here. Exhale, twist to the left, elbows high. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. Woo! And center. One side's usually wobblier than the other. Back to the left. And center. And right. And center. And then draw that lifted knee all the way forward and through. Exhale, step it down. Shake out your legs. Couple little hip circles. Okay, let's try, just for fun, a more classical variation of Warrior 3. Okay, send your weight over to your right leg. Pick up the left leg, but extend it in front of you this time. Flare the toes on that lifted foot. Belly bend to spine. Maybe hands to prayer. As you exhale, start to sweep the left leg back as you reach your torso forward. Keep wrapping the outer right hip back. Keep really reaching that lifted heel back. Squeeze the top of the thigh on that lifted leg. Beam your heart forward. Any arm variation of your choice. If you have blocks or support, feel free to use them. All right, every pose is a core pose. Last couple of breaths here. And then inhale, slowly come back to standing. Shake it out a little bit. Maybe that felt easier for you after all the prep that we did. Maybe it felt easier because that's sort of the normal variation that we do. It's interesting. I don't know. I think it's interesting anyway. And then send your weight over to your left. Extend the right leg forward. Again, flare the toes on that lifted foot. So that right leg is really active. Little buoyancy on the supporting knee. Inhale here. Exhale, sweep back into your Warrior 3. Really reach that lifted heel away from you as much as you're reaching the heel away from you. Beam your heart forward. Wrap the outer left hip back. Belly button to spine. It's wobbly. It's shaky. Any arm variation of your choice. Last 2 breaths here. And then slowly come back to standing. Shake it all out. Couple hip circles. And then inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, melt. Forward fold. Well deserved. Release here for the glutes. Little sway from side to side. For 3 breaths. Inhale. Little partway lift. Exhale, it all go. 2 more. You could sigh or flutter your lips. And then bend your knees. Plant your hands. Come down to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake. And then shift to your hips on one side so you can swing your legs forward. And let's make our way down to the floor. If you want to do a Pilates style roll down, go ahead. If you want to use your hands to support yourself on the way down, go where you need to go so that eventually you can come down onto your back. Bend your knees and bring your feet flat to the floor. Let's go into a figure four just to release those glutes a little bit. So cross the right ankle over top of the left thigh. Keep those right toes flexed back toward your shin. You might stay here. You might deepen it by starting to de-weight the left leg. You could interlace your hands behind the left thigh. You could rock a little bit from side to side. Maybe you find a position that feels like it's really doing something for you. I hesitate to use the word good. It's like fitness good. Interesting, maybe. A few breaths of stillness. One more inhale. One sweet exhale. And then gently unwind. Shake it out if you'd like to. And then let's switch sides. So right foot on the earth, left ankle crosses over top of the right thigh. Again, this might be enough for you. You could deepen it by starting to raise that right leg. Whether you use your hands or not, on the back of that right thigh or over top of the right shin, go where you need to go. Try to keep the tension out of your neck and shoulders though. You could even gently press the left thigh away from you as much as you're drawing the right thigh in toward you. You might find or feel this down the outer thigh as well as in the glutes and hips. That's totally normal. The muscles that attach to the IT band are part of the ones that we worked here, so it will feel like tension through the IT band. Last two breaths here. And then slowly, gently unwind, shake it all out. Let's end with a quick little twist. So hug your knees in toward you, right arm goes out to the side. You might shift your hips right a little bit. Exhale, lower your knees to the left. We're not going to be here for long. Go wherever you need to go, as gentle or as deep of a twist as you need. Try to let your feet relax to the floor though, so they're not hovering in midair. As much as possible, let this be a pose of ease. And on your inhale, return to center. Reset your pelvis or your spine. Maybe you shift the hips left. Exhale, lower your knees to the right. Again, as gentle or as deep a variation as you need. One more inhale. One sweet exhale. And then inhale, come back to center. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, maybe it could be a happy baby or some sort of spinal flexion or extension. Feel free to go where you'd like to go. If you're ready for your rest, then start to find your final position. It could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight in Shavasana. You could rest on your side or in child's pose or a seated meditation. Legs up the wall might feel really great today after all that glute work. And there's no rush to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And then let go of your breath control. Return to your natural breath. Notice if you're holding any last muscle gripping or tension, could be in the neck, face, or the jaw. If so, try to let that go as well. So that with each exhale, your body can melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.